on AI topics that matter to regular people. Thank you for checking out the show. Today is June 3rd, 2025, and this is recorded as a live stream today, so it's unedited, unfiltered. That way you know it's real. Anyway, what we do on the show is going to go over some news topics that I think you would find interesting. They're certainly relevant to me, and I think regular folks like you and me, and we're just going to dig right in. The first one we got today is Amazon programmers say after the company shifted to AI, the work felt horrible. So apparently Amazon programmers reporting that their company is going through this AI implementation phase and it's making the work feel like drudgery rather than creative coding. Management is pushing AI adoption with increased productivity demands, tighter deadlines, and reduced team sizes. While teams were cut in half, they expected to produce the same amount of code using AI assistance, leading to decreased job satisfaction. Now, obviously, not everybody out there is in the programming field. We've certainly seen a lot of news lately about how programmers and software engineers are being hit by AI, supposedly, allegedly more than others. Unemployment figures in that area is certainly going up. Do most folks really feel bad about what's happening to the Amazon programmers at Amazon after they're shifting AI? Well, I feel bad for anybody that's being impacted negatively by this. I want to say, though, that this type of effect, I think this has the potential to impact just about anybody who's in some kind of white-collar work, knowledge-based work. When AI is being introduced, there is the potential that they may reduce headcount and that work may still have some kind of disruption to it. So the implication is you might have to pick up some of that slack, that you're going to have to do some of that work that your coworkers were previously doing. Now, AI is supposed to be doing a lot of that, but what are you actually going to be doing? What some of these programmers at Amazon are basically saying is they got into the field, programming, software engineering, because they could create, they could make new applications, they could build things, and that's enjoyable. I've been in that type of work before, and yeah, I can totally empathize with that. But what they're doing instead now, their focus is not on building things and creating things, but rather it's more about babysitting these AI agents and these bots that are doing the work for them. Well, makes you really wonder, is that what many of us have to expect in our careers as AI starts to become a more prominent feature? I think that could be the case. With any kind of job, there's this kind of idea that AI agents are going to play a major feature, and maybe the job of the future is not doing things and building things and creating things. It's watching AI do it for you and making sure they do a good job. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think, having a job will be a good thing. But it remains to be seen, like, how much of us are going to have our jobs just stripped away by AI, or are we all going to be babysitting AI for a living? Stay tuned on that one. Let's go to the next one. Number 2, secret OpenAI memo describes plans to make users rely on it as a super assistant. All right, so apparently there was this OpenAI memo that got leaked as part of discovery for this ongoing antitrust trial with Google. The Google thing is not really the main story, but apparently, this came about through the discovery process for that lawsuit. And it involved ChatGPT and what OpenAI is doing. So some of their plans for what OpenAI is trying to do with ChatGPT, they're basically their marquee AI tool and their product, is to really make it the kind of primary interface of the internet. The AI would handle daily tasks for people, whether it's finding homes, contacting lawyers, managing calendars, doing any number of things. And the idea is that people just become so irrevocably dependent on it, it just becomes this key product for the internet and for just people's daily lives. Now, OpenAI really started as this nonprofit with the goal to kind of spearhead research into artificial intelligence, to kind of be like a pillar to the artificial intelligence community and the development of these types of systems and software and programs and tools. But it's become so much more than that, especially with recent news stories about the attempts to try and shift OpenAI to be more of a private company rather than a nonprofit research organization. This is just another kind of component to that story that's really showing that OpenAI has really got a lot of commercial ideas here about what they're doing with AI and where they want it to be. It's not about just guiding the research and making products. They want it to be the product. So that really is insightful to see this kind of information as we see their moves every week, every month, especially with their recent partnership with Johnny Ives and his company to create some kind of new AI-centric product that's going to be key for so many people. So we'll stay tuned to that one and see where ChatGPT and OpenAI goes with that. All right, on to the next story. Therapists say engaging in romantic behaviors with AI still counts as cheating. All right, so this is kind of a funny one, but I mean, every day, every week goes by, I'm not really surprised on what people are kind of doing with AI. So marriage therapists are weighing in on the idea that intimate activity with chatbots and having some kind of intimate relationship like that with chatbots without partner consent constitutes cheating. So apparently, there's a story that was making its rounds on Reddit about some woman discovering that her husband on a nightly basis was engaging in some kind of romantic style kind of conversations with an AI chatbot, and asking for advice like, is this cheating? Is this something to be worried about? I think this could be something to be worried about. Whether it's cheating or not, man, it's, that sort of thing. I think it really comes down to the the definitions of how your relationship's set up. But I think the bigger story here is not whether this is cheating or not, but this is a development for how people are interacting with these AI chatbots. And they're not, are they really just chatbots anymore? It's pretty remarkable that, what people are doing with it. It's not just about doing research, and it's not just about, finding, the answers to some sort of question, but it's also about people interacting with in ways that are just incredibly personal and intimate to their regular lives. I think that's fascinating. But, not from an academic standpoint, we really wonder, where is it going to go with AI? Where does it end? We know people are using AI tools for, getting some kind of therapeutic type of help. They got nobody else to turn to, and maybe get to weigh in, get some feedback from ChatGPT on hey, what should I do here? So where's it going to go next? We'll see. But with all these other systems coming out related to AI video and stuff like that, I think this particular type of area now people are using AI could be pretty crazy. Anyway, let's go on to the next story here. So notable author Salman Rushdie is weighing in on AI. Says it's not really threatened. Doesn't really think authors should be feeling threatened by AI until AI can make people laugh. Yeah, he apparently speaking at the Hay Festival, UK, argues that writers are safe from AI until it really develops a sense of humor. He doesn't think AI has the capability to be funny. That's an interesting point of view. Apparently he says he's never actually tried it before, so not really sure how he's developed that point of view, but I think he's got an interesting perspective here. You think about what is humor, what is creativity? Does artificial intelligence actually have the capacity to create something like that original, or is it really just mocking what it thinks humans would do? There's this whole area in the philosophy of AI that, it's probably so deep that couldn't really get into here for just a few minutes, but you really, try and compare this to maybe actual comedians and authors. On some level, are they just observing what other comedians have said and internalize that? Hey, that's funny. And they learn from that, and they incorporate it into how they speak and share and make jokes and stuff. Can AI actually be authentically funny, or is AI just trying to predict the next word to say? Interesting perspective by him. I'm sure we're going to see a lot with AI over the coming months and years as they try and move from not just being some kind of agent tool that can help you find stuff on the internet, but to actually produce legitimate entertainment. All right, let's go on to the next story. Facebook and Instagram owner Meta, so Meta is the company that owns Facebook now, Mark Zuckerberg, his company, right? Meta is going to reportedly enable AI ad creation by the end of next year. So their plans are to launch AI tools by the end of this year or next to create a complete advertisement kind of life cycle for their products, so that companies can go and create ads using AI to make the imagery, the text, and all that media that goes with it. I think this is a notable story. I mean, this might not typically be something that, regular folks like you and me are going to be particularly interested in, except we're going to be the recipients of these advertisements, right? Like, any of this material that is going to be produced, we're going to be seeing it. It's going to be in our face. It's going to be on Facebook or Instagram or wherever. And what is it going to be like? Is it going to be super obnoxious? Is it going to be annoying? Is it going to be amazing? We're going to be like, wow, these ads are pretty good. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see where that goes. Probably doesn't feel too interesting for marketing agencies and ad agencies out there, because this is the potential to really eat into their bottom line and their work that they could do. I mean, right now, with Facebook and Instagram, there's a whole product suite, tool suite that you can use from an agency standpoint to go and help other companies make their ads that they put on Facebook and whatnot, right? Well, clearly we can see that Meta's goal is just to take the agency out of the equation and just keep all the money for themselves. Presumably people would pay more money to Facebook to be able to use these tools or something like that, rather than, some agency getting the money for doing that. Mark Zuckerberg was talking about this on other occasions, other interviews. He's clearly demonstrating that he wants his company to kind of own that whole life cycle of advertising and marketing. And we look at some of these AI products that have come out and been demonstrated more recently. So like Google's Veo 3, like it's just a really remarkable AI video generation tool. I believe pretty strongly that those types of tools, while interesting maybe for regular folks like you and me to create some little random video or something like that, I think the real primary use case for those tools is for marketing and advertising. Maybe in the near term, agencies will be using that. Take for instance, like a football or a soccer match or tournament or something like that. The Super Bowl. It's a center stage for like prime time commercials every year. It's just really expensive, and because they know that millions of people are going to be seeing it. Well, they're going to be making more and more of those using these AI tools rather than computer-generated imagery done with illustrators and artists, right? Probably because they could do it quicker and do more versions of it and potentially cheaper, sad to say. So again, looks like we're probably going to be seeing a lot of AI-generated advertisements real soon. We're already probably seeing some, may not even realize it. And on these particular platforms owned by Meta, that is probably going to be where all of it comes from. Interesting stuff. All right. Let's go on to the next story. Magnetic 3D printed pen could help diagnose people with Parkinson's. So we got a healthcare kind of related story here. Those are some of the type of topics I really try and focus on here. So healthcare, employment, education, these types of things that are really going to matter to most of people like you and me. That's what I want to hear about. That's what I want to read about. That's what I want to know about. So that's what I try to talk about here. So this one is kind of in the healthcare area. Parkinson's such a terrible disease. There's really no cure for it, right? And it can be so devastating. Sometimes it's taking many years for those symptoms to develop. We've all seen some of these celebrities in the news like Michael J. Fox, who've kind of had their whole experience with this disease kind of play out in kind of the public eye. And I think we all should be really grateful to people like him to kind of help raise awareness for this. And I can think in some small way, that kind of awareness drives research. And here we have a really interesting area of research where scientists, doctors, researchers are incorporating special tooling with AI systems, machine learning systems, to better diagnose, to more accurately and preemptively diagnose this type of disorder with people. So, maybe they can get treatment earlier on. Like I said, it doesn't seem like there's any cure for it yet. But you really want to think about what your quality of life could be and what you could do with your life if you learn earlier on that you have this. What kind of decisions might you make, what kind of changes you might make. So basically how this works is they've got some kind of fairly low cost-effective diagnostic tool that uses like a little 3D printed pen. And so the system connects with some machine learning software. And essentially they have a person kind of scribble on the system. It kind of captures the movements they make. And the idea is that those movements are recorded and it's run through machine learning type of processing. And apparently within like a 96% level of accuracy, it can distinguish Parkinson's patients from healthy individuals. So I think that's pretty incredible. Something like 10 million people worldwide live with Parkinson's disease. Anything that can help those people out to get a better outcome and to have a better chance to live their best lives, I think that's incredible. Well, those are the stories today that I wanted to share on this show. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you find this kind of information and content valuable and helpful for you, hey, please, if you can take a minute to like and subscribe. You can find the channel Sapiens Forward at sapiensforward.com. Certainly can find it at YouTube, on x.com, Blue Sky, and just give a like and subscribe.